It's weird because normally you have to do basic questing for around 5 days playtime before you see any action like this in an MMO, but Guild Wars 2 just gives you the quality endgame content we all love straight away, even for the low level zones, and this makes sense. Why should players have to wait hours and hours of playtime and hit max level before they can experience the fun stuff? So you guys probably know, I've been on a little adventure to broaden my classic WoW peanut brain, and today my horizons will be transcended by the wonderful, gigantic world of Guild Wars 2. Honestly, the world is so big in this game, you could probably fit 5 MMOs inside of it, and they just made that world even bigger with their new expansion, Janfer Wilds. Now, I had no idea what to expect of this game, but after playing it for a good 10 hours, I honestly feel like I've been living under a rock when it comes to MMOs. Guild Wars 2 is so far ahead in many ways. It focuses a lot more on proper old school MMO features, but modernizes it for the modern human brain that doesn't even have the patience to write a text message. The character creation was very detailed, from changing your nose to your entire body shape. You could even change the colour of your starting armour. As you can see, I kinda got carried away, making my guy look like a rejected Kung Fu Panda character. I was immediately impressed by how cinematic and story focused Guild Wars 2 is, and it really makes a good effort involving your character within the storyline. I made a Norn, so we got to start our journey in the Wayfarer foothills, with its lush woodlands and staggering mountains. The introductory tutorial questline is about proving yourself to be a competent hunter of big, ugly monsters, and I'm relieved to see that quests don't follow the go kill 10 balls template in this game. Quests feel much more natural and realistic, not unlike what you would see in a good single player RPG game, rather than a tiresome grind. The quests are always full of action and never seem to stop surprising you. Already in the starting area, I'm taking on a huge worm boss, and it was genuinely pretty challenging and engaging. It's a great way to teach new players how the combat plays out in this game, introducing you to the mechanics like the dodge ability that is definitely needed if you want to survive boss battles. Normally when playing MMOs, you only expect to encounter bosses when doing dungeons or group content, and normally you don't even get to experience that until you're max level, and most of the open world leveling content is just killing basic mobs. But in this game, there's creative bosses everywhere in the open world that you will encounter on your adventure, and the combat is way more exciting than anything I've played before in an MMO, and it makes sense. Why not have really fun action game style combat systems in an MMO? Why do so many MMOs have to stick to such a boring and static combat system? Luckily, when you buy the latest expansion, it does come along with a level 80 boost so that you can catch up immediately with other players and experience the new expansion's content. Although I would definitely recommend for you guys to experience the low level content first to get grasp with the game before you do a character boost. Before you actually commit to a class, you can try out the character boost on as many different classes as you want, and the game has this whole max level boosted character area with quests and world events for you to really get a feel of what these classes are going to play like at endgame. I picked the warrior this time because, let's be honest, you can't beat the good old trustworthy warrior archetype in a fantasy game. But what I really wasn't expecting, and I was refreshingly surprised by, was how the warrior actually feels more like playing a druid because of all the transformation abilities. I was expecting to get a quest hub where I would pick up a bunch of quests, go grind them out, and then turn them in. But Guild Wars world design just doesn't work like that at all. Instead, I was thrown into the chaos defending a fortress from invading enemies with other players. I was essentially in a huge PvE warzone with different objectives like escorting supply vehicles, repairing fortress walls, and taking down big world bosses. It's weird because normally you have to do basic questing for around 5 days playtime before you see any action like this in an MMO, but Guild Wars 2 just gives you the quality endgame content we all love straight away, even for the low level zones, and this makes sense. Why should players have to wait hours and hours of playtime and hit max level before they can experience the fun stuff? Exploration is also heavily rewarded in the game. Not only will you encounter these dynamic events in the world, but there's special viewpoints in certain areas that reward XP. There's mini quests, mini games, random world bosses, and so much more. Guild Wars have totally chucked out the quest hub, jumping, slog concept out of the window, and replaced it with something quite special. The expansion introduces a compelling new storyline that makes it easier for new players to navigate their adventure while deeply immersing them in the game world, unlike many other MMOs which often feel pretty soulless due to their reliance on long walls of quest text. Guild Wars excels in storytelling through captivating cinematics and well-written dialogue. This approach makes you feel like a character is an integral part of the story. One of the best aspects of playing a new expansion is the thrill of discovering a new world, including new races, allies, lore, mysterious powers, and of course, new villains. The narrative is engaging enough to keep you hooked and eager to invest time into the game. What's particularly great is that you can't just rush through the main storyline from point A to B. There are times where you must complete other activities or level up certain skills before progressing, which encourage you to explore the open world and engage within the wealth of content that the game has to offer. This design ensures that the open world is always bustling with activity. No matter what you're doing, there's always a group of players ready to team up for world events or to take down world bosses. Sometimes these events have enough participants, but at other times you'll need to form a group to avoid getting one-shotted. This never takes long because even players who have already completed the content have incentives to participate again. It actually will benefit them. Low level and high level players often group up due to the game's dynamic level scaling, which keeps the content challenging and rewarding for everyone. I really do appreciate how Guild Wars fosters social interactions between players and makes open world exploration so rewarding. Too many MMOs these days confine players to instance content like dungeons, allowing them to endlessly queue until they hit max level, from a little button as well that you can press on your microbar. To me, that's not what an MMO should be. MMO should encourage exploration and meeting new players in the open world. Another standout feature is the PvP, especially the world vs world battlegrounds. PvP enthusiasts will be pleased to know that this is an MMO where PvP is given the attention it deserves, unlike many other MMOs. The PvP content here is proper and robust, offering a variety of experiences from small-scale arenas to massive siege battles of hundreds of players. In the one battleground I played, the enemy team destroyed our fortress's castle walls to breach our defences and completely overrun us. It was just unbelievably cool and exciting. There's also an excellent short voice-acted tutorial when you first join these battlegrounds, which clearly explains the mechanics so you can quickly understand what's happening and how you can contribute. Many of these battlegrounds are ongoing for hours throughout the day, meaning they are pretty much always active, so you don't have to endure long boring queues before jumping into the action. You can just join the world and get stuck in right away. Guild Wars 2 excels in class and combat design, particularly with its flexible weapon swapping system. You can easily swap between two different weapon types, allowing you to adapt to different combat situations. For example, you can wield a massive hammer in a 1v1 battle, or shoot enemies from atop a castle wall with a gun to defend your fortress. Your weapon abilities are on one side of the action bar while your class abilities are on the other, making it fun to experiment with different weapon class combinations to create your unique hybrid build. This flexibility ensures that you'll never get bored of playing your class, because you can always mix things up with a different weapon to keep the gameplay fresh. If I was to sum up Guild Wars 2 up, I think it stands out from other MMOs because of the freedom it gives you to play the game your way. You don't have to wait long to dive into fun endgame content. That starts straight away at level 1, and there are hardly any restrictions or unnecessary limitations on players. It's an incredibly accessible and enjoyable theme park fun MMO. You can play it for a month, take a break to try some other MMO, and return to Guild Wars 2 without feeling like you're left behind or like you've missed out. The game is designed so you can jump back into the action whenever you want. I highly recommend giving the game a try. It's free to play, so there's nothing to lose. There's no subscription fee, and you can only pay for expansions of the content you want to experience. Not subscribing to the game doesn't mean that you're locked out of the PvP or vanilla content with other players. Guild Wars 2 doesn't have the usual MMO deterrent that might put you off from playing or restricting you from playing with other players. And people do the endgame content from the other expansions all the time, so you never really feel like, oh, it's too late to go back and play that expansion, because you can. Thanks to Guild Wars for sponsoring this video. These collaborations are really helping me branch out from World of Warcraft content at the minute while still being able to actually, pay the bills. So stay tuned everyone, I've got plenty of MMO content coming very soon. My name is MetaGoblin, until the next video, ciao.